This is my Dawes Discovery 201. Pretty much a standard hybrid style bike, 700c wheels, 21 speed. A while ago I upgraded, changed the V-brakes to a cable operated disc. Does it work? Yes. It's not much better. In fact, if I'm honest, it's probably not quite as good as the V-brakes because they were set up quite well and had new pads, but I'm going to improve it, and the way I'm going to improve it is by changing the size of the disc. Changing the diameter of the disc from 160mm to 180mm. It's going to of course give me a bit more mechanical advantage, a bit more leverage over the brake, and of course this bit I will have to change to make sure the caliper is the correct distance, you know, gripping the right bit of the brake disc. First step, of course, take the wheel off. Then we're going to have to remove the disc. Now these are not Allen screws, they are Torx. Little, let's see if you can focus in on that. Little, see if it'll focus. Little star-shaped efforts. There we go. Probably see it a little bit better now. Now these happen to take a T25 Torx screw, Torx driver. Make sure you use the right tool. You should see the difference in size and how much extra braking performance power I should get from the larger disc. I'm going to clean this up because it is second hand, but it is straight. I made sure it's straight. Worth pointing out that on these discs you often have a direction indicator. Follow that, and that's for the direction of the wheel moving in its normal course. Make sure you fit it the right way around, and usually have other information on there. I don't know if you can see it that well, it's quite faint, but regarding to its diameter, minimum thickness, and what torque it should be tightened down to. Blue thread locking compound. If you have a torque wrench, use the torque specified. Other than that, do them reasonably tight. It is a safety device after all. Caliper can be released by means of a 5mm Allen key, unless this is in the way. Rear carrier. I'm going to have to unscrew that, so bear with me. Next, I need to unscrew this bracket. Already done one, saving all the little distancing washers. Keep those in the right order. Okay, you can probably see just about that it's an oval hole that allows you to adjust these strange shaped washers, pivot within each other, and again allow you a little bit of adjustment and leeway. I'll just nip them up, just thumb tight for the time being, and get them attached to the frame. As you can see, the caliper came with some slightly longer bolts with some thread locking compound on. As it is a safety component, I'll be using the longer bolts. Something always worth checking: brake pads slightly contaminated, a little bit of oil on those, that won't help, and don't lose the little clip that holds them in place. I'm going to give those a clean with some brake cleaner on the surfaces, doing a bit of a light sanding. Okay, spot the difference. You can probably tell that they're a sintered metal, but now nice and clean. Okay, adjustment and setting up pad. 5mm Allen key, and I need to get that so it's just touching the brake. I need to adjust them before centering them, so I'll just do that, nip it up and get them adjusted, and then I'll center the brake, show you how to do that. Okay, I've nipped up the brakes as tight as I want them now, so it's still moving. I've got a very small amount of play at the lever, so it bites very nicely. So I've just slackened these two, oops, getting my own way, these two off. And what I need to do, although I can't do it while I'm holding the camcorder, is pull the brake on tightly and then tighten those up while I've got the brake pulled on. So I'll do that and test it out in a more. Okay, so just tested that up and down the street, very good. It'll need to bed in, I'll explain that in a more, but at the moment when I pull the brake, the pads are meeting the disc, not pushing the disc to meet the inert pad. So yeah, that should go a long way to working better. Bedding the brakes in basically means getting the brakes up to temperature. Getting on some steepish hills, difficult to find some around here, but getting up to a decent speed, and then doing reasonably hard braking, and doing that several times in a row just to yeah, get the brakes all bedded in and working as they should, at which point they should improve tremendously. Now there is another modification I will do. I've not, when I fitted this, all I had was a very long standard cable, so I'm not using the braze-ons, and that will add a little bit of flex into the braking. What I've also got is some non-compression cable, a bit like gear cable, so I'm going to cut that to fit from there and from there to the lever, and that should improve the braking feel enormously, not necessarily the power but certainly the feel of it. That will be that should be that in terms of the braking on this one. It should be back to or exceed the V-brake standard. Okay, so I've cut down some nice, as you can see, you probably see the logo on that. It's, these are by, oops, defocus, a company called Jagwire. Basically, you can either cut them to length or buy them in kits and use the correct nipples on the other end. Either end, the ferrules for the brakes. So that's the correct length, the other one's the correct length. Time to cut these ugly cable ties off and get it sorted. Okay, there we go. Might wonder why I haven't tied it down, but it seems to cause a bit of friction if I do. So just leave it loose, it's not going to get caught. Not going to get caught in the wheel. So I don't think I need to cable tie it. I suppose the main test is, did it make a difference? Yes it did. Which made most difference? They both made an equal difference. which was most effective? Hard to tell. They do need bedding in after I've sanded everything down and cleaned everything up, so I'll need to do a few good stops on it just to warm everything up and get everything seated in nicely. But yeah, that should now hopefully be better than the V-brace that I fitted originally, by a considerable margin hopefully, when they've warmed up a bit. Fingers crossed.